Just going to give it a couple minutes, let people join in, and then we'll get started here. Obviously, with the thumbnail, you guys know what the topic is going to be today. So let me know what you think in the comments. Even if you don't have a question, just feel free to say hi. And if you do have a question, it doesn't have to be about politics; it can be about anything. So yeah, not to worry. Just going to give a little bit longer for some more people to join in, and then we'll get to the liberal traitor Matt Jeneroux, who just crossed the floor today. Snowy Owl says Carney has something on him. Maybe he gave him some special advisory role too. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but people like the mainstream media, Rosemary Barton today was saying, "Oh, the liberals haven't given them anything." It's like Mark Carney literally just gave Matt Jeneroux a special title. Like, I don't know if it comes with a raise, but a special title is often enough for people to get giddy over. So we shall see. And I do apologize. I'm supposed to start at 8 o'clock, but I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I know yesterday YouTube completely crashed at around 8 o'clock. My views completely went to zero and it wouldn't load, and people were complaining about it on X, but that was kind of a pain. And even today, I tried to do a live stream at 8 o'clock. Oops, something went wrong. Oops, something went wrong. And it's just like, I don't know what's going on here, but YouTube's being weird today. And please don't forget to hit that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm send this over to more people. And then we can have more people in the chat having good conversations, which is always a good thing, in my opinion. And as you guys, I'm sure, remember, Matt Jeneroux, I think in November, said he was going to resign. And then now all of a sudden something's changed and he's a liberal now. And he said it was because of his Davos speech, which was just a whole lot of fancy big words with nothing really said. So I don't really understand what's so attractive about that, but apparently people like it. Now, what's interesting is if there's an election this spring, Matt Jeneroux, Michael Ma, and Chris D'Entremont all might lose their seats, right? So just because they're over there right now, that doesn't mean they will be for long. I mean, how funny would it be if those three, if those three traitors had to run in an election and face the voters that they betrayed? That's not going to go well for them. Their career might be over in just a couple months if we have a spring election. Or you could have one more floor crosser, which would give Mark Carney a temporary majority, at least until Bill Blair or Melanie Jolie or Guilbeault or whoever else resigns. If Mark Carney gets that fragile majority and starts ruining the country with full power, which I think we all expect him to do, voters will turn on him. And we won't have to wait 4 years because someone's going to resign, someone's going to lose a by election. So we'll see. It's better if he gets a majority this way instead of getting like 185 seats in an election if he were to get that. I'm not saying he would, but PP is a loser. His own writing rejected him. Okay. Are you guys all like 5 years old? Is that all you have for an insult? Is calling someone PP? Like how many liberals do you see do this every day, and they're the biggest fucking losers you've ever seen in your life? So go ahead, buddy. PP's a loser. What does he get out of this other than sitting in a government caucus for a few months? Well, he's got a special title apparently, and I guess that's good enough for him. But I don't know. The mainstream media keeps saying that, oh, they've got nothing, but it doesn't make sense for them to get nothing. Michael Ma was pictured with Pierre Poilievre the day before he crossed the floor. So to say that he's had this change of heart doesn't really make sense, does it? Any MPs in any party decides to cross the floor instead of resign is a coward. I agree. There also should be bills to pass, or there should be some bill that we pass that stops anybody from crossing the floor, not just a liberal to conservative or conservative to liberal, everybody. If you vote for an MP and they cross the floor and essentially commit treason, they should be forced to resign. There should be no floor crossers from any party. but we don't have those rules yet. Another traitor, man, he's going to regret this. Well, that's the thing, right? He's probably going to lose his seat anyway if there's an election. The Conservatives MPs are rejecting him just like folks in his own riding did. I mean, listen, man, if you want to come in here and get embarrassed or embarrass yourself online, remember, this is forever. And you're going to get trolled probably a lot. But yeah, keep doing your thing, man. It's, being stupid is a disease, so keep it up. Should have to go to a by. Yeah, there always should be a by-election, but that's the way it is right now in our democracy. The Carney gang sure are worried of Pierre. They can't stop talking. Well, that's the thing, and they're trying to slander him because they know that he's the only one who can beat Carney. They put out many polls showing what Doug Ford or anyone else would do up against Carney, and it's not good. Pierre's the only one who could beat him. If this was due to Carney's Davos speech, he should have crossed back in late January when Parliament resumed. Yeah. But with Pierre Poilievre getting a massive win at the Conservative convention, I think they need something to kind of, they're trying to say, oh, hey, look how weak of a leader he is. Now, oddly enough, when Chrystia Freeland resigned and Nate Erskine Smith resigned, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, there's reasons for it. It's not Carney's fault. But when it happens to Pierre, it's all Pierre's fault. Isn't that funny? Luz, hello, Dan. Hey, how are you doing? On the petition, voted yes, Alberta independence. Well, I mean, unfortunately, like, I don't think it's going to happen. But hey, if it does, I would seriously consider moving to Alberta. Kind of had enough of being in a country filled with who don't care about us. Okay, let's see. I got a video here. Okay, let's listen to the traitor for 30 seconds.
Largely due to family reasons, but quite simply, largely due to family reasons, but quite simply couldn't sit on the sidelines after seeing what the Prime Minister was ambitious agenda he was undertaking across the country and across the world. And quite honestly, it was the speech in Davos where you took everything head on, and I think for me that's where a lot of the world changed. I think it opened a lot of eyes for Canadians, Albertans, Edmontonians, just how serious this now. Remember?
So that was a whole lot of nothing. Like he just said, "Oh, you really did well in the Davos speech." Okay, give an example of what he said that you liked. He didn't. Okay. Anyone know why Carney made a statement about him saying something about him and his family? Why his family? Well, Matt Jeneroux said that he was going to resign to spend more time with his family, essentially. And now, just like Sean Fraser and Anita Anand, I guess they don't give a shit about their family very much, eh? I don't think this can be blamed on Pierre, given what Jeneroux said back in November, none of which he has disavowed. Yeah, well, that's the thing. They're going to try to pin it on Pierre because they want him to look weak. Now, the problem with that is it makes the MPs look weak, especially if there's an election and they lose their seat, which two of them at least would be favored to lose. So if they want to end their careers, go ahead. This cat will fit right into the Liberal Party. Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's a liar, he's a traitor, and he's a coward. It actually sounds like he's going where he belongs, right? Moose on the Loose chart shows it all. Yeah, and he does great work as well. Go give Moose on the Loose a follow if you haven't ever heard of him before. He does great work. Okay, Larissa Waller actually has something to say about this as well. It's about a minute long.
A year ago. So did the others who crossed the floor. They ran as Conservatives a year ago. In Matt Jeneroux's case, he's been elected as a Conservative. He ran as a Conservative a year ago. So did the others who crossed the floor. They ran as Conservatives a year ago. In Matt Jeneroux's case, he's been elected as a Conservative 6 times. So when did his feelings change, right? And he cites the Prime Minister's Davos speech as the big moment that, the lights went on and he became a markcarney Liberal. The Prime Minister gave a good speech in Davos. Pierre Poilievre even said so. There's very little daylight between the Conservative position on foreign policy and the Liberal position on foreign policy. And it was a good speech, but it was a speech. And I think Matt Jeneroux, looking the constituents of his very conservative riding in Alberta in the eye, when he starts knocking on doors, he's going to get a bit of a wake-up call that these people didn't vote for a good speech in Davos. They voted for a conservative member of parliament to represent their conservative values, and that's not what they're getting.
Now, I would disagree that it was a good speech. I don't care if Pierre-Poilievre said it. I would disagree with him too. It was a nothing speech. It was just a bunch of big fancy words, and it means nothing, right? And anytime liberals give any kind of a speech, what does it really mean, right? Because that's what they've been doing for 11 years, and everything's been getting worse. Now you're seeing the mortgage default rate increase. We're heading into late February, which is when a lot of people are going to lose their part-time temporary holiday jobs because return season's almost over. And you'll see the mainstream media spin it again. They will just say it's not anything to do with Carney, and it's, the jobs were just temporary anyway. But when the jobs were first announced, they didn't mention anything about temporary jobs, did they? Oops. I wonder if recent mortgage fiasco has something to do with this. Basically, people needs to dig into his family, and if there's a link to Carney offerings. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no proof that Carney's offered him some money or something. He gave him a special title, but we do need to find out what's happening here. There's something going on with housing mortgages where the new rates are massively higher for homeowners trying to renegotiate and such. Yeah, Northern Perspective put out a video about that yesterday, and it was a very good video. Breaking that down. They can break things down so much better than I can. They're way better at this. I'm just a commentator here sitting in my basement. There needs to be legislation that they can't cross party lines. Well, a sitting parliament is in power. Time to change the law. And yeah, and I agree. And not just for conservatives crossing to the liberals. Any liberal who tries to cross the floor to the conservatives should be rejected. And yes, it did happen a couple of years ago. But the difference is that when a liberal crossed the floor after the party went far left, not far right, some lady from the liberals crossed the floor to the conservative, but it didn't shift the balance of power. That's why this is worse. But either way, even then, no liberal MP should be crossing, and if one tries to, Pierre should reject them and tell them to resign, because that's what they should have to do. Okay, let's see what else. I got a lot of stuff here. Let me ask you guys a question. If there is someone who is extremely mentally ill and they can't take care of themselves, or you'll hold work or whatever, do you think that we should have asylums, or do you think that we should continue throwing them on the street? I think we should have some sort of asylum, because I don't think it's right that we have all these homeless people. Now, to be fair, a lot of people say, yeah, but there was abuse in those places, and that's why they closed them down. Okay, so fire the people who are abusing the people who are there and get some people who aren't abusive. And that way we stop throwing people that need help onto the streets, right? If you're addicted to cocaine or fentanyl, you should be forced into rehab so that you can be healthy again and actually live a proper life. Now, but Danny, if you're forcing people to do things, isn't that authoritarian? No, because when you are addicted to a hard drug, your brain doesn't have the capability to make proper decisions. So those decisions need to be made for you. Obviously, I was against the mandates, right? So people bring that up you were against forced vaccination. Yeah, because first of all, natural immunity worked way better. Vitamin D, hormone replacement therapy, those things actually worked better. And as we now know, all the crap they said that was pro-science back then wasn't. So there's a big difference. Everybody knows that if you know someone who's a drug addict, they don't have the capability to make correct decisions. Extreme mental illness, they don't have capability to make those decisions. So let me know what you guys think. You're doing a great job. I like your comments. Keep it up. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you, Lindsay. Tumbler Ridge, I mean, that was a tragedy. It's every time something like this happens, there's extreme mental illness. And again, we don't take care of it. we just kind of push people into it now, it seems. That's great. And then we see what happens. It's disgusting. It's a tragedy. And there is a little girl named Maya who's still, fighting for her life. So give your thoughts and prayers to her, because hopefully she pulls through. It would be a miracle. But hey, sometimes miracles do happen, right? We as ordinary Canadians don't have anyone working in the best interest. Our prime minister clearly works for Brookfield and American interest. Well, it's probably why 91% of his investments are in the United States, right? Made, yeah, I'm sure you're being sarcastic, because Made is obviously ridiculous. But yeah, there was a guy who 26 years old he was diagnosed with seasonal depression, and without the parents' knowledge, the doctor just authorized it. And I know it's like, well, he's an adult, but again, he's not. If you're depressed, you don't have the capability to make these decisions. Why don't we get to people to a point where we can fix the depression? It's curable. Okay, if you're like late stage cancer and there's no hope and you're just in pain all day, I get it in that sense. But doing it to people who have mental illnesses they should be charged. I mean, this should be completely illegal. Care for people in need. Right, exactly. So you guys get it. You guys have common sense. Unfortunately, we live in a country filled with idiots. Well, why are there so many people on the streets? Government's policy or not? Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of people on the street, but most people who are on the street are addicted to drugs, or they're extremely mentally ill. You're going to also start to have people who are on the street because rent's $3,500 a month. Obviously, that's a bit of an exaggeration. Most places you can find something cheaper than that, but it's getting there. How many more years until the average apartment in Hamilton is $3,000? 10 years? Okay, what are the average wages going to be then? $25 an hour? You're screwed. You're going to have to work 80 hours a week. And then when you work your 80 hours a week, they're going to tax you more. I don't know, man. It's not looking great. Prayers for Maya, absolutely. I hope Maya survives. Seeing her pictures broke my heart. Me too. I feel for all the family members. And I don't know. It's the tragedy. I see it as organ trafficking. That's a conspiracy that's been going on for a while, but I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on. I know Alex Jones has talked about that a lot throughout his career. I don't have any evidence that it's happening, but who knows, right? I wouldn't, considering what we now know about Epstein Island, I wouldn't be shocked if all conspiracy theorists turned out to be true. Yeah, they were using drugs. Yeah, they are starting to close truck rest stops because they are becoming really? I didn't even know about that. My friend has ALS and he wanted to die, but nobody would allow her to go. It was so sad. She knew she wouldn't get better and suffer till and that's the thing, right? Like, MAID can be useful, but listen, let me tell you something about depression. If you ever hear a doctor say that depression is chemical imbalance, find a new doctor, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's not a chemical imbalance. It's inflammation of the brain. That's where it comes from. If they could find a way to measure and treat inflammation properly and effectively and affordably, it'd be a game changer. Why we're not researching this and funding studies to help do this, I have no idea. And to be fair, I haven't heard the Conservatives say anything about that either. I'd like to have a conversation with pierrepoilievre about something like that, as well as reopening, asylums as well for people to go when they can't take care of themselves. The healthcare system is not very profitable for private hospitals and such. Think about it. Yeah, that is a fair point. Okay, covered that stuff yesterday. Did you guys see this? Table Salt put this out yesterday. Beef price inflation in Canada is now surging at 18.8% over the last 12 months. Look at the chart. You look at that. All items are going up, and that's not good. But look at beef. And you'll hear some vegan tell you that beef isn't good for you as they continue to stuff soy down their face. Natural, no additives, no preservatives in meat is healthy. It just is. The reason a lot of people think that meat is unhealthy is because a lot of people will eat like hamburgers, right? And there's a bunch of sugar in the ketchup and the mustard, and there's preservatives in the mayonnaise, and then the bun, which is completely made out of sugar, and then they have a Coca-Cola big enough to swim in with some French fries. That's what's the unhealthy part. But if you just took, a couple, like if you went to a butcher shop and got a pound of ground beef and made some individual burger patties and just ate them that way, with just some seasoning on it, maybe a little bit of sauce, like if you make your own without added sugar, it's one of the healthiest things you can eat. Have that with some eggs. The only reason I don't do it is because I'm weak and I love pizza and I love spaghetti. I can't help it. Every time I start to get on like a carnivore kick, and I'll drop like 10 pounds in 3 days. And the next thing you know, it's like, damn, that pizza looks good. And I get the cravings intense. I'm weak. I can't do it. Treating inflammation starts in your gut. True. The anti-inflammatory elements are first absorbed. That is a good point. I forgot to mention that. That is gut health is very important as well. I've had issues with that in the past, and it definitely doesn't help. I have PTSD and my meds help me, but they're so expensive. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. It's that's a tough thing to be going through. But hopefully, things in the medical science department start to change, and they can come out with some things to help. But guess what? There's no money in healthy people. There's no controlling healthy people either. That's why they want you sick and weak and scared. You can order Alberta beef for a fraction of the price from Vietnam. Really? That's pretty crazy. I'll have to check that out. Elbows up at Costco, I guess. Yep. Time is definitely not on Carney's side with respect to cost of living and another economic crisis. Well, and I think he wants the majority before that comes. But I think he's a bit nervous about calling an election because he knows that a lot of Canadians don't want one. Steve McKinnon even brought that up the other day, saying no one wants an election right now. So it would be weird for Mark Carney to now call one. But if you look at some of the polls, they're showing such good numbers for him, but the nano shows that he's only up by 2. You don't really want to call an election when it's within margin of error. And maybe, I think Mark Carney today would win. But again, as things keep getting worse, people are going to start to turn on him. It just might take a couple of years for people to do it. That's why he wants a majority, so that he can get in for 4 years, strip the country of anything that's valuable, sell it off, make Brookfield a bunch of money. His investments in the United States, of course, will go up. I mean, he's go back to living in Ireland or wherever the fuck. So, Moose on a Loose dug that up. Okay. People need to stand up against it. Yeah, they do. They need to wake up. They need to stand up. Unfortunately, a lot of people they're just not doing it. At least not yet. But hopefully that changes. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I pulled up a bunch of stuff yesterday, thinking that I'd be doing a live stream, but that did not happen. Oh, here's Cat Canada. What's happening? YouTube is down. That's actually the first time that's happened yesterday, and the whole time I've been creating content. I don't know what the hell was going on, but it was weird. Okay, covered that. Canada, 7.3% food inflation, worse than the G7. Worst GDP per capita growth in the OECD. We're earning less, but paying more. This is what a managed decline looks like, and that's exactly right. Mark Carney is here to manage the decline. Trudeau was not smart enough or clever enough to manage the decline. You have to keep people scared about something else to distract them. And you have to use your liberal propaganda machine to constantly smear the opposition leader. Mark Carney wants Pierre Poilievre gone, not because Pierre Poilievre is a bad leader, because he's a threat to Mark Carney. Michael Barrett, with all due respect to him, right now is not. Melissa Melantzman, respect her, she's not. Larry Brock, again, no disrespect to these guys. They can't beat Carney. Canada per capita economic growth laggard for 10 years. Look at this. Look at the U.S. 20%. We're stuck at 0.5. Nice, huh? Isn't that nice? Jasmine said she thinks Carney doesn't want an election. He's hoping for more court. Yeah, probably. But even then, even if he gets a couple, that's actually probably better than him getting an elected majority, because if it's an elected majority with like 185 seats, he's got 4 years. But if it's a 172, 173 majority, that's very fragile. And when he starts doing his thing, Canadians, especially swing voters, are going to go, "Oh, what the hell am I doing?" Boomers love liberals. Not all. I know a lot of you guys are boomers, but a lot of boomers love liberals because their value of their house went up massively. Well, what happens to their vote when the housing market crashes, when the default rates start to go up? And now your house that you bought for 100 grand in 1980, that's now worth 1.3 million. All of a sudden, it's worth $1 million. A year goes by, it's worth 750 grand, and then boom, you could have an epic crash. And Mark Carney probably wouldn't survive that with a shaky majority. You will likely see not floor crossings, because I don't think the Conservatives would allow that. But I also think that, you would. Sorry, what the. Yeah, either way, if Mark Carney gets a shaky, unelected majority, MPs will likely resign before the 4 years come up. There's also scheduled by-elections every couple of years as well. So I don't think it'll last. And if you were to ever to lose that majority, the NDP, the Bloc, and the Conservatives will also probably shoot up in the polls, and then they could team up and call an election on Carney and get him out of here. Hopefully. You see Fred Pantone here, whatever his name is? Don't let him get away with this. Troll his ass. I know I've seen MLM and Market America crowds in Florida and such. Dan, through my years of living, I never imagined Canada will be in a massive declined economy. Me neither. And I'm not that old. I'm not even 40, but I used to be so patriotic. Like Canada's the best country in the world and everything's so great. I'm not anymore. I just don't feel that. I want to. I don't want Alberta to leave. I don't want to become the United States. I want to have a thriving country, and there's no reason that Canada cannot be the greatest country in the world. Raptor Guy, thank you so much for the 5, man. I appreciate you. Matt Jeneroux will find out what it's like to be former Ontario MPP Tim Peterson. Interesting. Especially Richmond Hill and Scarborough and Ontario, their maintained Chinese populations are really massive. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's true. That's right. Yeah. But I think a lot of Chinese Canadians don't like the CCP, right? So I think that they're going to turn on Michael Moss specifically. And that's where you could have swing voters come into play. And swing voters are the voters that decide elections. And just a reminder, guys, if you can, send in the super chat. I appreciate you. Again, no worries if you can't. Also consider maybe getting a membership to the channel. It's $5 a month. Again, no pressure. I know money's tight, but it does help me reach my goal of doing this full time, which is something that would be a dream of mine. So if you can, I appreciate you. But if you can't, no worries. My family has deep ancestry to pre-communist China before they all fled to Vietnam. Oh, really? That's interesting. Remember that this is a very old government. Carney can't count on all his current MPs being there for any length of time. A bare majority is not a stable. That's right. An unstable majority would likely fall at some point. I don't know when. None of us do, but it's something that could easily happen. This ex-army guy hates what his country has become. Yep, I hear you. I should have gone to college. Yeah, I should. What should I have taken? Gender studies? Douchebag. Mr. Steely, appreciate you, man. Thanks for the membership. Appreciate it. As his voters as well. Yeah, there's apparently a Mark Carney voter in the chat. Let him know what you think. I don't know what you're here for. I mean, you're obviously just a troll, but I mean, if you are happy about the state of this country and you keep voting for Mark Carney, just remember, when you do complain about losing your house or your job, people are probably going to laugh in your face. Just saying. Not going to get a lot of empathy. Yeah, Republic of China back then was actually a democracy government ran by the Kuomintang. My great-grandfather was a captain in their national revolution. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, China probably used to be a great country too. But now, if you complain about China while living in China, they'd probably throw your ass in jail, right? He's a Brookfield plant, 100%. Let's have a look at what Jasmine Lane has to say here. She's got some video I posted. Could you imagine if Donald Trump did this?
And I just have a really big question for you. Could you imagine the reaction from Canadian media if Donald Trump passed sweeping laws to protect American culture, if he mandated that foreign platforms must fund US approved American content? Or, what if he expanded regulatory authority over digital platforms and then framed Canadian content as something that needed to be restricted in order to defend national identity? Could you imagine the headlines? I'm sure it would be a lot of, oh gosh, it's a threat to free markets, authoritarian. He is cultural nationalism. He is a protectionist. What a fascist. But when Canada does it, it's viewed as identity, sovereignty, protecting our culture.
She's right.
And let's just be very honest. If any of these producers landed a hit show in America tomorrow, they'd celebrate, they'd pack their bags and they'd move, just as most of our top talent does, because America is a huge market. It's much more competitive and much more rewarding than Canada is. Canada rewards mandates. And a friendly reminder that US content is not being forced on Canadians. Canadians choose it. If Americans make content that Canadians want to watch, that's not a threat. That's competition, which arguably, if we didn't have such strict policies when it came to media and forced inclusion, forced mandates, maybe there'd be more Canadian companies that could actually demand the exact same type of competitiveness. And I'll leave you with a final question here. If Canadian identity can't compete and is under threat unless there are large amounts of government funding and very specific, tightly controlled regulations on it, is the issue really the threat of American content that's behaving competitively that Canadians are choosing? Or is it the restrictive, highly controlled model you have forced Canadian media companies into?
Interesting. Let me know. Rapper Guy, thanks so much again for the 5, man. The game changer will be Heather McPherson becoming NDP leader when the Liberals' borrowed vote returns to the NDP. Well, that's the thing, right? There's a lot of feminists in this country, and they almost all vote Liberal. Well, feminists, you have a chance to prove your ideology. Are you really going to vote for a woman? Or, sorry, a rich old white man over a woman? That wouldn't be very feministic of you, right? So hopefully she wins. I don't know if she will, but hopefully. Markcarney has said on TV, I'm not Canadian, I have an Irish passport. Yeah, he's literally said he's European before. Canada sucks, agreed. Fred, sociology, political science, philosophy to start, then people would care what you have to say. Well, dummy, if you don't care what I have to say, what are you doing here? What are you doing helping my channel with your comment? You know YouTube likes engagement, right? You see the liberal logic that we have to deal with? And a lot of people have this disease of being that stupid. There's a lot of people in this country who actually would agree with Fred. And here he is exposing how stupid he is. Did you go to college? If you did, you should get your money back. Imagine if Pierre was in the EP files, even mentioned indirectly in them. Libs would have run with that. Absolutely. Does Pierre Poilievre have a dark past? It would have been all over mainstream media. Now, I don't think Markcarney was there. Actually, I don't think he's a PDF file. But the fact that he's on them, and they're just saying, oh, it doesn't matter, right away. They would not give Pierre Poilievre that same type of coverage. They would literally start asking, oh, Pierre Poilievre's past, what's going on here? He should be investigated. But when it's Carney, who cares? The claim Matt was going to donate his absent time to salary to a charity being designed for failure. Yeah. I wonder if he's getting the CEO pay tax credit. Also, the donation and taxpayers lose on paying him for 3 months of nothing. Yeah, I don't know. If Pierre ended up in the files, it'd be only as a victim. Carney's wife is besties with Maxwell. I mean, I don't know if they're besties, but they sure were pictured together a few times, weren't they? Again, I don't think Mark Carney's a PDF file, but he's on the list. He should be investigated, just like everybody else. We need about 6 million files released to know for sure, but I don't think it'll all be released. Probably not. I mean, and here's the thing: we're probably never going to see investigations. We'll probably never see jail time. It's a joke. Another good one is on election night. Carney's wife said after he won, "Let's make Canada poor again." She really said that. I remember that. I think she probably misspoke. She believes that, but she said the quiet part out loud, which, well, it's probably because she's a moron. RCMP and media will never investigate or make it public. No, not if it's Carney. If it was Pierre, oh, you bet your ass they'd make it public. Okay. What's your guys' opinion on what's happening with the polls? It's very weird stuff, right? Let's check this out here for a second. We've got some weird numbers. So Nanos, the Liberals are up by 1. Liaison has them up by 9. Research and Mainstream have them up by double digits. And Abacus has them up by 7. These numbers are so all over the place. What do you guys make of that? Do you think there's some shadiness going on with some of these posters? Because Nanos is usually biased towards liberals, and Abacus is usually slightly biased towards the conservatives. But Abacus is showing a 7-point lead for the liberals, while Nanos is only showing 1. That's pretty weird, isn't it? Also, the Chinese props with the liberals, so Chinese just, yeah, they sure do. We all know they want the liberals to win because they're already infiltrated. Polls mean nothing to me. I've never answered a poll. You know what? To be honest with you, I've never answered one either. And I don't even know if I know anyone who ever has. I don't really understand why I have never got one. Although I haven't voted all my life, so maybe they look at the voting records, but still, I voted in the last 2 elections, so how come I'm not being polled? How come my dad's never received a poll? I don't know if my mom has either. I don't know if I know anyone who has. So it is weird. I'll give you that. I'm taking polls with a grain of salt until the NDP leader is elected. Yep, and that's about a month away. So even if Mark Carney were to call an election tomorrow, I mean, it's still not good because the leader would only be put in power for like 2 weeks before an election. That's not enough time to campaign. But I would really like to see Heather McPherson, and then give her a couple weeks, see what the mood is like, and see if people shift over to her. I gotta imagine at least a small percentage of women are gonna move over to her if she wins. If it's Avi Lewis, I don't know about that. Nano's called my own. Oh, really? Okay. So they do like phone polls. I know a lot of them do like, they'll send like mail or email or whatever. 45 years, never seen a politician ever in person or at my door. I've seen one. I can't remember his name. He was a liberal. This was back probably just before COVID. And I was just like, I was so disinterested in politics. And then COVID came around, then I started getting. So I don't know who the guy was. I don't even know if he's still in politics, but it's the only time I've ever met a politician. And he was basically telling me that how good the liberals were. And I was like, yeah, so how come the results aren't very good? He didn't have an answer. The NDP should have the leader in place now. Their leadership process taking. Yeah, it does take a while. It's probably too long, but it is what it is. But they will have one in March, which is just around the corner. So hopefully the NDP gets a little bit of support back. They even said that Chinese outlet says one thing to their own diaspora and another thing in English. Really? Doesn't surprise me. Not one bit. Okay. Okay, I got something else here for you. So JGenXer posted this Finally, MSM is realizing the focus isn't tariffs, Trump, or geopolitics anymore. Very interesting. Maybe Canadians are starting to wake up to the fact that it's Trump's fault. A lot of Canadians seem to feel that way. Trump this, Trump that. Oh, there's no audio? Shit. Sorry, I should have checked that. Was there audio at all? Like it just didn't play it like at a certain point. Nowadays they use specific YouTube channels to cater to specific ethnic diaspora, Ming Pao News. Okay. That's interesting. Thanks for joining, Lindsay. Have a great night. I appreciate you. And the Chuck, you said that you met Lawton and Shear. That's cool. Yeah, Andrew Lawton, I'm a big fan of his. He used to have a podcast too, and I know he wrote a good book. The Twitter video, no audio. Too. Oh, really? Sorry about that. I don't know why it didn't play. I was sharing the screen. Hmm. Okay. Well, either way, we'll move on. Andrew Lawton. Yeah, yeah. No, I've heard a lot of good things. Like I said, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting any of them, but it would be nice to be able to meet some of them sometime. My dad actually met Hayden Lawrence, who was the conservative member, or not the conservative member of parliament, but he was running in Hamilton Center here. He came in second place, which is interesting because most conservatives finish third place in this riding. It's a very liberal riding. I'm surrounded by morons. Raptor guy for the $2. Thank you so much, man. I think McPherson gets in because she has a seat. That's very interesting. I hope she does. Um, you know, Avi Lewis or some of these other nobodies, I just don't think it moves the needle enough for the NDP. I really don't. I really don't. I don't see anything really happening with the party unless it is a woman who already has a seat. What a snake Matt Jeneroux is, though. Let's talk about that. So if you live in Edmonton Riverbend, or if you know people who live in Edmonton Riverbend, if they don't pay much attention to politics, let them know this. Let them know. Now, I know people will say, well, if they can just cross the floor, then why does my vote matter? Well, to be fair, the Conservatives need to do a better job of vetting their MP candidates before they allow them to run, because otherwise, you can have things like this. Also, the Conservatives, if they were ever to get power, especially a majority, should pass a bill saying no more floor crossers for anybody. That's a shady tactic. It's slimy. If you want a majority, get it at the polls. But then again, I kind of like I'm going back and forth with, should the Liberals get a majority this way? Because I don't think it's good for them long term. If that's the case, then that means their popularity is going to tank. Well, that's good news for us. Where if he gets an election and wins a majority, that doesn't really help us. I bet his bank account is a lot higher. ATM paid off prick. Yeah. I did meet Pierre Poilievre twice in one of his rallies. Oh, really? What's he like in person? I mean, I've heard good things. I've seen videos, but what's your perspective on that? When it comes to Liberals and NDP, you need to have an insider tell you who they listen to the most. Yeah, true that. Because in those circles, they focus on the voice of the few in specific and downplay all other voices. Yeah. Yeah, it's very good insight. So Don Davies, I guess, was on X today. Dimitri said, "With due respect, sir, that's because no one ever crosses to the NDP." And he says, Don Davies says, that's because we have a policy on not accepting floor crossers, which is interesting. And then Mario says, Mario Zelaya, go give him a follow as well. Who on the face of this universe, ever in history, would want to cross the floor to the NDP? That's like telling prime Michael Jordan on the prime Chicago's Bulls team that you'd rather play high school basketball in Sudbury than be on their team. Yeah, true. I mean, the NDP is a useless party, and the only way they ever become useful to any Canadians is when they're relevant enough to take away Liberal votes. That's the only thing they're really good for. Polling Canada, should MPs be allowed to cross the floor? I'm going to vote no. Wow, that's close. And pathetically close. Okay, so it's almost been an hour. I'm going to do these every night except Sunday. I'm going to go for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer. We'll have to see. Pierre's a great guy. And you met Rudy Cazzetto? Okay, cool. Hey, LZ, what's going on? Yeah, I'm not going to end the stream just yet. I'm just going to... we'll go a little bit longer for sure. We still got 42 people in here. And again, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help spread the podcast throughout the algorithm, which means more people will join and have a conversation. And even we might even be able to get some more liberal trolls in here, which I think would be funny. Absolutely, they should not be allowed. Sorry, I'm late. No worries. I know people. I know people got things to do. Okay, Fred the Idiot. He says anti-black, anti-gay, anti-trans, anti-immigrant, and a life filled with hate is no way to live. But who the hell ever said that I'm anti-gay, anti-black, anti? What are you talking about? I've never said any of those things, you retard. I know you think that trolling makes me angry, but I legitimately think you're funny. I don't understand why anytime someone disagrees with a liberal, they automatically just think you're racist because the liberals are the good guys. Go look at Malcolm X. Since you're such an educated and you're a historian, why don't you go look at Malcolm X's speeches on his opinion of the white liberal? Maybe you should go look at that. Or are you too good? Are you too educated for it? Sure, liberals troll are fun to play. Yeah, they are fun. It is fun. Yeah, troll. I mean, listen, they're here to troll us. Give it to them back. They'll call you racist, though. So just make sure that you're prepared for that. Fred, you obviously don't know. Dan, Fred doesn't know anything. He's a troll. Rapper Guy, thanks so much for the 5, man. I appreciate you. When I lived in Mississauga South, I didn't support Tim Peterson crossing with the PCs either. Yeah. I don't support anybody crossing sides to any party. I think it's trashy. I think it's gross. And there's no need for it. I'm going to try closing some tabs here. Looks like running a little bit slow here. When I make videos, the videos that I play seem to be pretty good, but then all of a sudden I go live and it's slow. So I'm not sure why that is. So Andrew Shear actually just posted some 10 hours ago. But he says CTV needs to issue a correction. They falsely claimed food inflation was 4.8%. It's 7.3%. The worst in the G7, doubled since Carney took office. Time for the media to stop protecting Carney from accountability for liberal hunger crisis. That's right. But they'll never, ever, ever hold Mark Carney accountable. Ever. So I just got to take a quick break. I'm just trying to find a video to play for you guys while I do that. Even CBC can't help but notice that Matt Jeneroux hasn't really been doing his job lately. Okay. So I'm going to take first before I go. You guys hear that? Can you guys hear that? No sound? Okay. I'm tuning in from Grand Prairie. Oh, yeah, it must be cold up there for sure. Okay, no sound. Okay. Let me stop sharing. I want to reshare. Okay, let me know if you can hear it now.
With his conservative caucus, he said he had a positive conversation with pierrepoilievre at the time, that his fellow conservatives remained friends, that he would remain a loyal conservative, still supported that party at that point. Insisting really that this was not a loyalty question. That
let me know if you guys could hear that. Are you routing the desktop audio to your stream audio? I'm just sharing Twitter and just letting it play. It's worked before. I'm not sure why it's not now. I live near Siri. If you think your driving is bad. Okay, you can hear it now? Okay. I am just going to go take a quick break. I just got to run to the bathroom, and I'll be right back.
But let's go through all of this. Starting with the fact that Matt Jeneroux is going to keep his seat for Edmonton Riverbed. Why is this interesting? Well, last fall, you might remember, rumors were swirling that he was going to cross the floor at that point, defect to the Liberals, and he did not. Instead, he announced that he was going to be resigning his seat. He said at that point that he wanted to spend more time with his family. He characterized this as an amicable break with his conservative caucus. He said he had a positive conversation with pierrepoilievre at the time, that his fellow conservatives remained friends, that he would remain a loyal conservative, still supported that party at that point. Insisting really that this was not a loyalty question, that he would be stepping down because it was what was best for him. But he has not been present in the House of Commons in the months since, nor did he vote remotely in those key confidence votes that we were tracking, for example, on the federal budget last fall. This gave the impression that he already had basically one foot out the door, wasn't very engaged in being an MP anymore. We believed that there would be perhaps a by-election imminent for that Edmonton seat. But in a statement that he's now posted on his own social feed, Jeneroux says that he had conversations around his family's kitchen table this winter. He characterized these conversations as honest and difficult. And he said that he was reflecting on what the Prime Minister said at the World Economic Forum in Davos. And based on that, he has now decided to join the Liberal government's fight. The Prime Minister, in the post that he made, announcing that Jeneroux would become a Liberal, said that he was naming him now a special advisor on economic and security partnerships. Now, I was going over some of Matt Jeneroux's past as a parliamentarian on the opposition bench, and indeed, these kind of issues were among the ones that he was working on as a parliamentarian. Notably, Mark Carney's itinerary for today has now been adjusted. It's now showing the Prime Minister being in his hometown of Edmonton for a meeting with Jeneroux. That would be at 11 o'clock Mountain, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll watch to see if anything further is disclosed coming out of that meeting about how this new role would work, with him as a direct special advisor. But we've gone from sort of him leaving politics for family reasons to now being more involved than ever, advising Prime Minister on what appears to be sort of the top fights of the moment. So this is quite a shift in terms of what Jeneroux himself has been portraying about his political career trajectory. And of course, something hugely important both for the Liberal government, but also for the politics on the opposition side of the House too.
Good timing. Okay. So he ends up being away from his family in the end. Right. That's the thing, right? He literally said that he wanted to spend time with his family. Now he's not. John Gotti, thanks for the 5, man. I appreciate you. I think this is a good thing. It clears out the non-true CPC members. Young voters don't really have anywhere else to go but CPC. That's a good point. Plus, their careers might be over very shortly. And let's be honest here. Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, young voters, I think you're going to see a massive conservative swing here. They already did a mock election with high school students in April, and it went very well for the conservatives. And considering that young people are usually really liberal, that's not great news for the future of the Liberals, considering their biggest block of support is also the oldest Canadians. So not great news. Gen X here, never have I voted Liberal and never will. Never have I supported the Liberal Party via money and volunteering, nor will I ever. Good. That makes me happy because they don't deserve it. We just need more people out here in Ontario. If the Conservatives can ever find a way to crack the red wall in Toronto, that would be very interesting, because if the red wall is cracked in Toronto, you're probably going to see more. Like that would probably show you that there's going to be more conservatives out west as well, because if Toronto starts going conservative, good Lord, then everyone's going to go. Young women are usually very liberal. Yes, that is very, very true. I'm hoping for a super majority for the Conservatives in the next election. That would be nice. In order for the polls to go that far in Pierre's direction, we do need more time. A lot of Canadians still trust Mark Carney for some reason, but that is the way it is. And yes, Eastern Canada is largely responsible for that, but Vancouver is pretty liberal too. And if they didn't win 20 seats out in Vancouver, the Conservatives would have won. So, or at least it would have been very close. There should be an application for voting, just a basic 5-question application. Same with this for having children. Yeah, there's got to be some sort of a litmus test, right? Like, I don't think everyone should just be able to vote. And you've seen videos of people saying, hey, I don't know anything about politics, but I'm going to vote for Mark Carney. And even if you vote conservative that way, it's still stupid. If you don't know what you're talking about, instead of going out and voting for the destruction of this country, Just get out of the way. Stay home. Save lives. Remember that, guys? Torontonian here. The city will never become blue. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it would be very difficult for the whole city. But even if you just crack the red wall, like the suburban areas that are super red right now, you can just crack it a little bit more. I think you'll have some momentum there. And how a lot of women were saying Justin Trudeau is so handsome. I know people who voted for him because they thought that way. Again, should not be allowed to vote. Like, I'm sorry, I don't care. It's my right. Yeah, it's your right until it gets taken away. That's how rights go. And I don't think it should be like a gender issue. It should be, police officers, military, doctors, the most important people that keep our society running. They should be voting. If you volunteer, like there's got to be a way to just, if you don't care, stay home, and that should be enforced. Is Fred talking shit again? Let me see. Oh, it was a while ago. Okay, who cares? I used to live in Vancouver. Used to be a great city. Now it's a cesspool. Yep. Brother, I only see Liberal and NDP signs everywhere. I know. Same here, man. I actually saw a few conservative signs here in Hamilton, Hamilton Center, but when I was walking around, I saw a lot of NDP signs, a few Liberal signs. It's just like, just surrounded by sheep, man, just like you are. Don Stewart did crack the red wall in St. Paul 2 years ago. That's true. And then it went back to the Liberals as soon as Carney got back in. So we just need that to happen. But unfortunately, it's going to take time because a lot of people still trust this government. A lot of people thought that the Liberal Party had a Justin Trudeau problem, but they don't seem to realize that Canada has a Liberal Party problem. But I don't think there'll be election. Carney will wait for by-elections or more floor crossing. Yeah, maybe. But that's a slimy way to get one, and I don't think that's going to work specifically well for him. It'll work in the short term, but in the long run, I don't think so. Okay, so Mario Zelaya just posted something interesting. He says, wow, when Matt Jeneroux decided to resign, he pledged to donate his salary to charity. Starting November 6th, that total earned is $58,000. Did he donate that to charity or the after-tax equivalent? Will he stop donating to them now that he's a traitor? I mean, a liberal? So he even says, this year, since my announcement to resign, I will continue this effort and will be donating my salary I received since November 6, 2025, the day I announced my decision, to a number of local charities in the community. If you're a charity in the Edmonton River Bend area, or if you live in that area, go talk to the charity, see if he actually did donate. If not, let me know. We'll expose him. John Gotti, thanks for the 2, man. Appreciate you. Doug Ford should sit on a Coke can. Loser he is. He'd probably try to eat it first. Listen, I'm not the skinniest dude in the world, but that dude's a blimp. Was that $58K donation the last digit before Carney debanked him? I'm not sure when, but I want to know if he actually donated it, or was he lying? Because we know he's a liar, right? With the fact that he said he was going to resign and then didn't. Did he actually donate? I wonder. It's a very good question. This is interesting. Just revealed how insignificant our economy is on a global stage on a comparative basis. Texas, nominal GDP, 2.7 trillion. Canada as a whole, 2.4 trillion. GDP rank global. Texas would be 8th if they were a country. Canada is only 9th. So Texas has us beat. And you know what they say about Texas? They always make fun of people in Texas, but they're doing better than us. Population, 30 million. Ours, 40 million. GDP per capita, 89,000 versus 59,000. So apparently you're better off being a Texan than a Canadian. If you told me that 20 years ago, I never would have believed you. Doug Ford makes you want to pour out a bottle of Molson Canadian. Yeah. These politicians have really put a number on our country, and it's making a lot of people, including myself, very unpatriotic. You're better off drinking. Yep. John Gotti, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Another 5. You have to watch the smug look on Melanie Jolie's face today when she was asked about Pierre's leadership. I hate her so much. Worst DEI hire in history. Melanie Jolie is terrible. I actually think I have the video. Let me see if I can. No, it's here somewhere. Maybe I didn't repair. Maybe I don't have it. Okay, I'll see if I can. Shit-eating smile. Usually when I type in their name, the most recent stuff comes up, but I don't see it. Maybe it was removed. I'm not sure. So I thought I reposted it. Melanie won't be around much longer. Well, I think she's going to resign too, right? So that'd be interesting. Read CTV comments about her. People actually love her, and thinks she's intelligent. Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of people just like looking at her, but there's people who generally think she's intelligent. She speaks two languages, so fair enough. But she she's not smart enough to hide the corruption. Where Mark Carney, temporarily, he's a much smarter person, but he'll get figured out. It's going to take some time. John, I agree with you. I'm not a fan of hers at all. She seems very unhappy, perhaps, in life in general. That could be true. Like all the times you see Carney making that smirk and grin on camera. Yeah, he's a douchebag. They all are. I'm in USA often. The prosperity is undeniable there. Was in NYC last week and recently at Terry Black's in Dallas and will be in Seattle in 3 days. America's the real deal. Canada is a whining step. Canada is a shithole, and it's become that way, and unfortunately, unless major changes happen, it's going to stay that way. Sounds to me that Melanie Jolie has an alcohol problem. Maybe. That's idolism, not realism. They are idolizing her for her position and image, not her personality. True. I can't believe men find her attractive. I don't get that at all. I'll be honest with you. I do think she is fairly attractive. Like, she's not like a supermodel or anything, but I think she's not bad looking. It's the stuff in her brain, whatever that is. That's what I don't like about her. I've met women in Toronto who say they would vote for Jolie. Women always using their. Well, if women are so hell bent on voting for women, then I guess they'll consider voting for Heather McPherson, right? But then again, that's using logic, and liberals don't have much of it. They just don't. Mr. Speaker, Chrystia Freeland is the most annoying sound, even more than Chihuahua Francois Champagne. At least we don't have to hear Chrystia Freeland with that squeaky, chalk-scraping voice. Mr. Speaker, I couldn't stand it. I know you guys couldn't either, so I'm glad that's over with. Okay. You guys got any plans for the weekend coming up? Chrystia Freeland sounds like the meest. Happy Gilmore. Yeah, she kind of does, actually, without the accent. I love my visits to the U.S. of A. Yeah, I haven't been to the United States for a while, but when was the last time? Florida, I guess, in 2012. But back in 2012, Canada was a thriving country. In 2026, it is not. Sorry, I keep wiping my nose. I got allergies again. Even when I take allergy medication, I don't know what's going on. Shovel more snow. For example, women say something, the rest of the group agrees nonchalantly, then later one of them says things behind their back to their. Yeah, that happens a lot. No question about that. So Moose on the Loose just posted this. I think one of you mentioned that earlier. Holy crap, Rosemary just confessed that she lies to Canadians on air. Mark Nixon, Mark Nixon posted it. Moose reposted it. Hot Mike, Rosemary Barton caught on Hot Mike saying that everything she says is made up.
Comes to be elected again, but there's also, the reality that some people in Alberta are kind of warming up to the Prime Minister because he has taken markedly different positions on issues that matter to them, whether it be energy development or climate change measures that he's backed off on. So maybe Mr. Jeneroux feels like his riding is starting to move in that direction as well.
Rosie, thank you. The CBC's chief political correspondent, Rosemary Barton, live in Ottawa. Minister of Industry, Melanie Joly, is speaking to reporters in Montreal. Let's listen.
Just because it's all made up anyway.
Wow. Now, again, she's not on camera, so I guess that could have been like AI or something, but it wouldn't surprise me that they chuckle like this when they think they're off camera. And they say, I can't believe these idiots all believe what we say. And it's true. So, Fred, my guy, if you're still here, what do you think about that? They just admitted it. Montana is great. Arizona, I'd love to go visit any of these states. Montana, though, more so in the summer, I think. Nashville is a blast. Nashville sounds not. If I were to ever move to the United States, Nashville, Tennessee, Texas, Florida, I'd go to one of those places for sure. I think. I would, of course, have to look into it more, but I'm pretty sure that's where I'd be going. Yeah, that's right. A hot mic is a mic that is not muted. That is true. And it does sound like she, and again, like her face wasn't on camera anymore, but it did sound like she thought she removed her mic and was shuffling some papers around and then made a ridiculously truthful claim. I just derived some big news beside crossing. Not any big news really other than the floor crossing today. I lived in Scottsdale. Oh, can you guys hear me? LZ said I cut out. San Fran is dope. I saw Jay's there. Nice. Although San Francisco is a liberal cesspool too, but the thing about American liberals is that they don't have as much power as Canadian liberals do because there's not as many of them percentage-wise. A lot of their base, it's 50-50 conservative, 50-50 liberal conservative there. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's like when Obama called Kanye a jackass when he thought he wasn't on air. I remember that. Oh, you just had to skip that? Okay, good. Okay, so I do actually have some videos to me. I'm really late today with everything. I do appreciate that. So I am going to stop the stream, but I will be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So if you're in Alberta, I think that's 6. And if you're in BC, I believe that's 5. And if you're out east, that would be 9. So I will be back tomorrow. I appreciate all you guys for the donations, for the likes, the comments, the engagements, the memberships. I appreciate you guys. And again, if you can afford a membership, if you feel like helping out my cause, my channel, I appreciate you. But no worries if you can't. It's just a request, definitely not a demand. So I'll be back tomorrow night. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. And I will be also putting in at least one video later tonight, hopefully 2, but I do have some more research to do. Thanks so much, guys, and take care.